Rabbi say, how much should you spend for a hidur mitzvah? Is where yours nothing else, but that's to fulfill the mitzvah esse, a positive mitzvah. The Rema says up to a choimish. Great. Esrogim now are worth 100 shekels. That's a regular esrog. There's a beautiful esrog for 120 shekels. There's one for 200 shekels. There's one for 800 shekels. How much am I supposed to pay for a hidur mitzvah, beautification of a mitzvah, not to fulfill the mitzvah itself?
That's up to you.
Up to me. What about Baba Kappa Taf Tesam Beis?
It's a hidur. That's the point.
Hidur mitzvah ad shlish. Up to a third. Machloikis in the Gemara, if the third is milebar or milegav. Milebar means from the outside, or milegav from the inside. What does that mean? Milebar, from the outside. Take the 100 shekels and cut it in two. You have two parts, 50 and 50. Do you have to bring another part like it, another 50, and now you have three parts? That's what the shlish means, which means you have to go all the way to 150 shekels. That's the machmir opinion. Milegav means take the 100 and split it to 3. That's 33.3. Take another part like that, a third, and add it. So instead of 100, you have to go up to 133 and a third. That's the lenient approach. The Gemara concludes, Teiku. Great.
Why doesn't it say like Chomesh? Because when we say Chomesh...
Chomesh is to fulfill a mitzvah. If you don't have an esrog at all, you have to spend up to 20% to fulfill the mitzvah.
The calculation of Chomesh is the markup of...
Good, same idea. Do you calculate it from the outside or from the inside? Milabar or milegav? Here the machlokes is in the Gemara itself. Baba Kama Tesamud Beis concludes with a teiko. Comes Rabbi Ben Zion Abba Shaul with a shayla. Me'ikar adin, you're yoytze with one candle, right? One candle every single night. Yet there's a track called Mehadrin, and that means every single day you add a candle. So the second day, how much did you add? 100% more. And on the fourth day,
50%.
50? Instead of one candle, I'm lighting 4. 400%. And what about the 8th day? Comes out that at the end of Chanukah, instead of lighting 8 candles, I lit 36. Minus the 8, and anyways I'm obligated. Instead of 8 candles, I beautified my mitzvah with 28 candles. What is that in percentage? Anyone? Quick math? Instead of 8 candles, I added 28 candles. 400%? But there's another track called Mehadrin. And if you're Ashkenazi, not Sephardim, only the Barabos, the owner of the house lights, Ashkenazim, he had 10 boys, they will all light. Now do the math. For each one of the boys, it's not the hidur mitzvah candles at 28, it's the entire 36! I'm not counting the shamash. The entire 36 candles. Can you do the math? We're talking about thousands and thousands. Where'd you get that from? What about hidur mitzvah ad shlish? The Gemara over there says, hidur mitzvah ad shlish, mikan va'elach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mikan va'elach mishal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Rashi, if you will pay more, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will pay you back. Here, in this world. It's good to get more money. But where does Chazal institute for us a way that, as if, obligates us? Is there any person who doesn't do this? Anyone who lights one candle every single night? Everybody does. Ma'alin Makodesh like Beis Hillel. And all Ashkenazim have their kids light as well. Where'd you get that from? Gewaltige Shaila. In order to answer, what's that?
We ready to so then above a third a person can add?
He's allowed. It's not an issue like Takanas Usha. Soon we'll see. Ksub Samach Beis, Amud Beis, and Samach Gimel Amud Aleph, we learn the famous Maaseh about Rebbe Kiva. Rebbe Kiva gets married, and he is not the greatest Talmid Chochem at the time. His father-in-law gets so upset, and he bans his daughter and his new son-in-law, Rebbe Kiva, from all his assets. He was richer than Bill Gates at the time. 24 years later, making it short because we all know the story, Rebbe Kiva comes to town. Rebbe Kiva is the Gadol Hador, but he doesn't know this is the same Akiva who was his son-in-law, the ignoramus. This is now the Gadol Hador. So he comes to him to be matir the neder because I feel so bad. My daughter, I could have supported her all those years, and I didn't. I want to give her something, poor lady. So he comes to him and says, Rebbe, I have this son-in-law. Don't ask. He says, tell me a little more about him. He said, I banned him from all my assets. The guy doesn't know. There's no Mishnah. He doesn't know even Aleph Beis. So Rabbi Akiva asks him, and what if he would know one chapter by heart? One chapter? If he would know Aleph Beis, I would already give him money. He says, oh, really? Guess what? I'm that Akiva. I'm your son-in-law. He was so excited, and he gave him half of his assets. Asks the Hafla over there. The Hafla is the Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer. Whoa. How was he allowed to do this? And why didn't Rabbi Akiva stop him? Because in Ksubis Nun and other places, Chazal say, Takanas Usha. In Usha, they instituted, Hamevazbez, Al Yevazbez Yoiser Mechomesh. You don't spend more than 20% on the mitzvah. What's going on? How come you're able to give half of all your assets? And the Hafla makes a remarkable calculation. Rabbi Yitzchak teaches us in Brachos Mem Beis that you should always invest, divide your assets in three. Shlish bakarka. What does that mean, shlish bakarka? Property, real estate. That's what we normally think. But some explain shlish bakarka, that means hide them in the karka. And some explain shlish bakarka, that's in Eretz Yisrael, invest in Eretz Yisrael. But our normal understanding is real estate. Shlish, and what? Bakmati, and business. And another third? Cash. So it comes out.
What's the definition of cash?
Lichoira, cash which you store in the safe. Some want to say, I saw this week, Dafka, somebody wants to say that stocks can be counted as well. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not sure about, is it only because it's accessible? You can liquidate it very easy, like you go to the bank or to your safe. Or is it also the element of there's less risk? Not risk of ganavim, risk that it will depreciate. The stock market, you don't know what's going to happen, especially if it's closed for 2, 3, 4 days on a weekend. So, I'm not sure, but cash l'choira means cash, as opposed to business, as opposed to karka. Rashi over there explains why we want cash, because if a nice, good business deal comes your way, you'll be able to spend because you have cash right now. L'choira, it's because of, you can liquidate it very easily. Says the Afla, so you have to take your money and divide it in three. Cash is a third. It says here, he gave him palge mimamone, he gave him half of his cash. That means he didn't give him 20% of his assets, he gave him only 1/6. A third is cash, half of that is only 1/6. 1/6 is 18%, is less than 20%. So we don't have a problem with Kalba Savua, but maybe in a different way. Kalba Savua was very, very rich. And about a very, very rich person, this doesn't apply. Takanas Usha is for normal people. Why? Because if you're going to spend more than 20%, maybe he will become poor and he will have to go collecting. So don't give to the Ani more than 20%. But a person who's rich, if Bill Gates gives 98% of his assets today, is anything going to happen to him? Is he going to have to go collect? No. Not him and his great-great-great-grandchildren. It's no problem. Mimele, there's a Chavos Yair that says an Ashir, a rich person, is mechuyav to give more. We force him. Avas Chesed, in Perek Chaf, brings other ways that one can spend more than 20%, and one of them is Achzakas Torah. Is there anything greater than Achzakas Torah for Rabbi Akiva to support his Torah, and therefore you can give more than Chomesh? Shevet HaLevi, he writes that in a way of tshuva and kapara, you're allowed to give more than a Chomesh. So Kabba Savua feels so terrible for what he did. He didn't give money for his daughter and son-in-law for all those years. He wants to do a kapara. You're allowed to do more than a Chomesh. But in a different way, and that's why I started this whole thing. Psachim men tes samud aleph, listen to a language of the Gemara. Le'oilam, Tanu Rabbanan, le'oilam, yimkor adam kol ma sheyesh lo. A person should sell everything he owns. Ve'yasi bito le'talmid chochim. And marry your daughter to a talmid chochim. Chazal, for some reason, didn't limit it. Only up to 20%. Why not? Because it's like acquiring an asset. Do Chazal have any problem with me going to Manhattan and buying some skyscrapers now? They don't want to go to, oh, it's more than 20%. It's an investment. I'm entitled to invest in anything I want. I'm entitled to invest in diamonds. This is what a Talmid Chochem is much more than diamonds. Torah is much more. The Torah is more important than precious stones, than diamonds, than pearls. Nothing comes close. It comes out that Kalba Savua wasn't giving money to a mitzvah. He was investing in his future, Nachas de Kedusha. And that, what's the problem? And therefore he's allowed to give more than 20%. Comes Rabbi Ben Zion and Amashon and answers his own question. Since in Shabbos Chav Gimel the Gemara says, Kol haragil bener havyan al banim talmidei chachamim. If you're careful with lighting Chanukah candles, you will have talmidei chachamim. Mimel, it's no problem to invest much more than a third to a bhidu mitzvah. Spend thousands and thousands, as we see that one who has many kids does if he's Ashkenazi, because you're investing in your own future nachas, and there's no limit to that.
This is the church that he was about by Rabbi Kiva, his parents?
I saw it in the Sefer, I think in Malos Rivka on the Torah.